full day the blackbird lay. At least that's what I used to say when I was a kid. Now we've grown to fully understand what it was saying, and it's All Fools Day. Today is April 1st. Welcome back to another episode, Halftime TV viewers and subscribers. And today I'll be going through a list of just about 5 crazy moments in Jamaican sport in recent history where I like to say Jamaicans have been taken for fools, but I think the general term to use is not really so sensible now that we're looking back at it, right? So I have a list of 5. I'll then go through some notable mentions as well, and then we'll turn it over to you, the viewers and subscribers, to share what your crazy list is. Again, today is All Fools Day. If you're running the pranks, if you're doing the silly things that we used to do when we were younger, please ensure that you keep it safe and you don't come up with something ridiculous that will put anyone in harm's way. All right, so big shout out to everyone who continues to support Halftime TV, and now we'll jump into the list. Now, the first on the list is Jamaicans thinking English-based football players automatically equate to success. Now, over the years, we've seen the likes of Ravel Morrison, we've seen so many, Mikel Antonio, and the list goes on and on and on. And every single time there's a new name that's rumored to be considering Jamaica as a destination to play their football, the Jamaicans, they go into a frenzy. It's almost as if it's the second coming. As things stand right now, we're waiting to hear what Mason Greenwood has to say. They've indicated that everything looks to be up and going. We're just now waiting on the final sign-off. And again, once there is confirmation, the fans will go into a frenzy again. So that's the one that I decided to start with because I think it happens ever so often. It's cyclical. Every year, every 6 months, there's a new English-based player either switching allegiance or choosing to represent the Jamaican national team. And then once that name is announced, especially if it's I won't even say high-profile player, but especially if it's a recognizable player, the fans, they go crazy. Now we're going to talk about the second one. And I think this second one here may step on some toes because this one made headlines right across Jamaica. And what am I talking about? So the player currently representing Veer in the Jamaica National Premier League, Kyle Butler. No, he's the son of the controversial figure Craig Butler, and a couple of years ago there was massive announcement. He was standing with a jersey. There were photos, there were news releases. He even posted it on his Instagram. New journey ahead, as he apparently there was an announcement made from their camp that he would be signing a professional contract with Fortuna Düsseldorf, which was a team recently promoted to the Bundesliga. So at the time, everything was going crazy. The Jamaican fans were thinking, wow, we hadn't seen much of Kyle Butler, but we were thinking to ourselves, he must be good enough then if he's getting this move into a Bundesliga team. Now, Fortuna Düsseldorf would subsequently come out and say nothing of the sort. They aren't aware of this transfer. This transfer did not happen and will not happen, especially with their club. They said basically, we don't know what you're talking about. So we're going to call this one Kyle Butler's imaginary transfer to Fortuna Düsseldorf. So let's just assume that he's still playing for Düsseldorf right now, right? So the imaginary transfer went through and all is well. All right, so continuing, we're over to point number 3. And this one is very interesting. It's over on the track and field side. And I know sometimes we separate the two. But when it comes to sports, track and field and football are Jamaica's 2 pet peeves. As we saw over the weekend with the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Champs, the National Stadium packed to the brim. Champs did that. A couple of weeks ago as well, Inter Miami played Cavalier at the National Stadium, packed to the brim again. Football did that. So we realized that football and track and field, the 2 top sports in Jamaica for the most part, and the 2 sports that Jamaicans rally around more than anything else. Now back to Andrew Hudson. A couple of years ago, Andrew Hudson at the national trials, I think they're calling it the Jamaica National Championship now, but we know it's the national trials, right? So where all the athletes converge in the national stadium and they vie for a place on the national team going to whatever the major tournament is. At the time, it was a national championship. It was the world championship, sorry. Andrew Hudson was the 200-meter champion. Take note of that. 200-meter Jamaica national champion. Now, fast forward a couple of weeks after that, he was not included in the Jamaican team going to the world championship. Now, what happened was there were some challenges in obtaining the necessary documentation, and as a result, time basically got up on them. And when the list of names was submitted, Andrew Hudson, his name was not on it because he did not have the necessary Jamaican documentation to represent Jamaica. He competed for the United States at the junior level, and then he decided to switch nationality to Jamaica. He came to Jamaica, he competed in 200 meters, and he won it, right? And then go to the World Championship, he wasn't a part of it. So that was crazy for me. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I just think that was something ridiculous that a national champion was not representing the country at the championship that he tried out for, especially because he wasn't injured or anything. So I think that one is worth noting. My next one, still staying with track and field, and I think we'll keep the next two to track and field. The next one is Shericka Jackson going to the Olympics injured. Now, was it last year? I don't know. Time's flying so fast these days. But Shericka Jackson, there were concerns about her injury in the early parts of the season. She and her coach came out and said there weren't any injuries. She was ready to go, etc. Now, she got to the Olympics. Everything was going good. And I think the day of the event, or a couple of hours before the event took place, news came out that Shericka Jackson would not be competing in the event. Now, I came to a conclusion, and some of the fans as well, they surmised that, okay, there were appearance bonuses, there were also sponsors that were looking to Shericka Jackson, and there were obligations that she needed to meet from a personal level as it relates to her sponsors outside of track and field, and that's why she went to the Olympics. But then we realized that this was super selfish on Shericka's part. But again, track and field is an individual sport. I won't go into the details, but I think that one was pretty ridiculous in my opinion, if you ask me. Shericka Jackson sitting on the plane, traveling in the entire tracksuit, doing the entire opening sermon, and the whole works, the whole shenanigans, knowing well that she was injured all this time. So Shericka Jackson traveling with the Jamaican national team to the Olympics, knowing that she's injured and she would not be competing, or she wouldn't be taking any part at the Olympics whatsoever. So I think that is worth noting. My final, I think we'll call it the final one on my list, because afterwards, as I said, we'll be going into the notable mentions as well. Final one on my list is, and it has been going on for a couple of years now, how, for the life of me, has Bolt's money picked up itself and left SSL without anyone noticing, right? So you're seeing both Jamaican track legend, millions of dollars invested in SSL in Jamaica. Most people know of SSL by now, and I know most of you've heard about it in bad terms, and it's unfortunate. But I find it crazy that someone as reputable and someone with a stature as Bolt has business being conducted in this institution, this organization, and his money goes missing and no one notices. Like, come on. Like, yeah, again, we won't even go too much into this one, but I think this is deserving of the 5th place on the list, and as a matter of fact, it may very well be the craziest thing on this list that I've compiled. But let's hear what your thoughts are. Also, I'm going to jump over to the notable mentions as well. Rudolph Speed being in charge of 2 organizations that are capable of voting in the Jamaican JFF presidential election. That was crazy as well, because I don't understand how Rudolph Speed, who is an active member of the Jamaica Football Federation, has 2 entities. Conflict of interest? I don't know. But let's leave it over to the critics to decide. Jamaica Amateur Athletic Association versus Taekwondo Tracy. Taekwondo Tracy having one of the faster times, not being allowed to participate on the relay team, and then all hell broke loose. Again, he came out, he came public, big big thing about it. Let's hear your thoughts on that. And finally, I think Leon Bailey requesting security as well as a room for himself when with the Jamaican national team. So I've done the list. I've gone through all the crazy things that we've seen over the years with the Jamaican sporting scene. It's April's Fool. Let's hear what your thoughts are in the comment section. And remember, smash the like button if you enjoyed this video and share your thoughts down below. Until next time.